I caught you red-handed, didn't I? So you're actually thinking, how do I maintain that structure that I'm hearing in my headphones or that structure that I'm hearing in my studio, and how do I bring that to the stage? Today, I'm gonna tell you how to level out all your levels and make it sound great. We're gonna get into that right now. Hey, what's up? It's Analog Kitchen. If this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe and hit the notification bell so whenever I drop a new video online, you will not miss out on anything. All the gear that's out there at the moment, it sounds different. So if you have your configuration set up and you know what it is that you want to do, chances are it's not pretty much going to sound great out of the box if you don't have a set plan on how to work that. Let me get over to the live set and I'll show you my setup and the way I arrange my levels. In my brain, you need a drummer, you need a bass player, and maybe two guitarists, right? If you're looking at a classic sort of band structure. So I've set that up in such a way that I've got the MPC Live, this machine here, as my drummer. I can stick sounds into it, which is what I'm doing. I'm actually using the sounds that I've created myself, but I didn't overthink it. I'm not going to like structure it in such a way like top kicks this and bottom kicks there. I just looked for a real good kick that was good enough for me to be used as a foundation on which I can build my house. So looking at my kick drum, let me open all the controls right here. This controller actually is mapped to the Akai via USB, so that I don't have to menu dive if I want to do different things on here, because I think in the end of the day, like with a classic DJ mixer, you want to have control over your levels without having to dive into menus, which is taking away from the overall performance. So this Akai MPC Live is a heritage of old MPCs from back in the day. Dr. Dre made most of his tracks on an MPC back in the days, and this is a new MPC, but it still works via the same philosophy, which is why I actually like it. So I'm trying to make electronic dance music or house music or techno music or whatever, but I'm trying to do that from a hip-hop point of view, from a hip-hop kind of mind frame. Okay, my bass drum. Why did I choose a bass drum like this? You have to understand that if you're using a bass drum in a live set, it needs to contain a little bit more information than what your initial bass drum would sound like if you were just to produce a record. You don't know what you're going to encounter once you hit the club. So your bass drum that you initially like needs to have a little bit more bottom end on the low end and a little bit more high on the high end, so that your bass drum is actually overlapping any flaws that could actually happen in the club. Your levels need to be great, but the sound guy or girl also needs to understand that that is the level that you are working from. So my bass drum is a little bit thicker. I would never stick it in a record like this because it's a little bit too heavy. Having said that though, it works wonders in the club because now I've got a solid foundation, it sounds analog, and I'm using analog, other analog synthesizers, powerful in a way that if I don't contain them, or I don't stick a big bass drum underneath it, people are going to get left out, right? So moving on. For bass, I've got the Behringer Model D. It is a clone, it is a Minimoog clone, and if you know what Minimoog does, that's just the fattest sound you can ever get, almost in the world. Most synthesizer sounds are based on what the Minimoog has done. If you want to have a good interpretation of what that sound actually does, go to Netflix and watch Stranger Things, listen to the sounds. You'll pretty much get the idea of what analog sounds and in particular Minimoog sounds can do. Now, going to my bass drum, it sounds like this. Let me turn the bass off for a second there. So as you can hear, that sound is thick, It is round, it's fat, it's got a lot of bottom end, it's got a lot of transient information on the top so that you can always detect where the kick is going to be. And as a matter of principle, I have moved the bass drum a little bit on top of the kick. So if your bass drum is here, if your bass drum is here, the bass line has to just lapse over it a little bit. Let me play it to you. This is what I hear a lot of live acts do. Now in my mind, what I'm trying to structure with my bass line is that it's a little bit thicker, and it also contains a bit of the information that's already in this kick already. So it's a bit of a sound design kind of thing, but if you are familiar with how the filters work on any analog synthesizer, you'll see that you can actually move it in the direction where you want the sound to go. So for me, this would probably work. A little bit softer, a bit snappier. It's got the 3 oscillators, obviously. And I stuck some white noise on there as well, so that if I turn the filter down, it's going to actually sound pretty percussive. With the bass drum. So you can hear that those two things, they actually live in the same street. I think they're hanging out together, you know, they really enjoy themselves, both of them. But when it comes to having a little bit of a cadence in your beat, then you'll soon find out you'll have to program a hi-hat. And the hi-hats that I've programmed in this live set are not too bright, not too much highs, because I don't want people to get hurt. And with this live set, where I'm actually constantly filtering out and leveling out all the different levels, I need to be careful that I'm not hurting anybody, because you playing on a big festival or in a club, people are going to exaggerate your sound. It's not like when you're DJing, when you've got the mix already sorted out, because the production that you're playing has already been either well mixed or not well mixed, but at all, it's just all contained in a certain way. With this, it's easy to just make mistakes. If I just sneeze and I'll just hit my hi a little bit too much, you're probably gonna not enjoy that too much. So the sound in itself needs to already been prepared for that. So my hi-hat sounds like this. As you can hear, it's more of a shaker kind of hi-hat instead of just a closed hi-hat. And to complement this hi-hat, I'm going to stick a 808 or 606, a TR-808 closed hi-hat on the 16th, so that there's a bit of a groove going as well. In drum terms, I think you call this a paradiddle.
It's right, left, right, left, left. Paradiddle, paradiddle.
And the bass line, of course. Okay, what's missing now in my sound is a clap. And the clap sound I have structured also that it's going to fill up that middle frequency range, but not to overdo everything. So the clap pretty much sounds like this, which I've got on channel 3 here. Again, it sounds a bit lo-fi. Why? Because I like a little bit of an 8-bit or a 12-bit sample thing going on, because that was the way that old school samplers sounded, and that absolutely made a difference in the club to me. It sounded completely different when it came out of the speakers. And the analog live set needs to at least have that analog feel, so I don't want my sounds to sound too modern or too bright. And then you don't have to work too much to get your levels straight. I mean, the wider the frequency range of the sample is, the more you're going to have to work to get them to play together. And if things are a little bit lo-fi, or at least they're pretty much living in the same frequency range, or living in the same street, if you will, you'll find that the sounds will actually work together a bit better. So, like this. Breakdown. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Make it a bit interesting. Take out the bass drum. That's what I love about the analog aspect, you know. I mean, nothing much happens, but just enough for you to go to that next level, right? Okay, I forgot that I've got my nice strings over here, because I like to build tension, I like to build some musicality into it, and I want some suspense in my music. This, I know, will work on a sound system, but I can imagine that after maybe 15 minutes you think like, okay, what's going on? So to mask everything that I've just done, I will stick it in a bed of strings, which I have filtered. So those are my strings. And I've mapped them. The strings are coming out of the MPC, and I'm actually filtering them so that I can build it up the tension as well. For instance, bass. If you're just starting out, it helps to at least figure out what are the magical frequencies. It will never work in a club if your kick drum doesn't have any low end, so it will just not do the trick. I'm going to need something to help out my bass line, right? So I need something that's going to just play against what's going on here. This is pump, 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 pump. And I want something else that will play along, but will actually make you dance, and it's interesting enough musically for you to think like, oh yeah, I'm still working the groove, because everything you've heard is working together. It's pretty much the same thing going in the same direction. Pump, 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 pump. Everything goes forward. So we need a bit of a cadence, something to take your mind away from what's happening, so you forget the groove and you're not listening to it, but you're dancing to it. And that's what we want. We want you to dance to it, and something else needs to pick your brain and sparkle a bit of interest in there. So let's see what we have. I've got the Dave Smith Tetra. another analog machine that's going to do something else entirely. Let's see what we have. Let me play it. This is going to play together with the bass line, and look what happens. Those frequencies are going to just like play together, and if you use filters on the Dave Smith and you use filters on the Model D, they're actually going to blend together so that it sounds pleasing to the ear. There's two melodies and it's still interesting for you to listen to, and you will not get lost in a blend of different sounds. Everything is easily followable, but it's still interesting enough. Natural progression. So as I told you before, I'm looking at this as a band, right? So this is the drummer, this is the bass player. I've got one guitarist here, and in true Iron Maiden fashion, if you will, there's another guitarist over there, because I want two things to just play together so it will not catch you off guard, but make it interesting enough for you to think, oh, yeah, that's cool. So this is also playing a rhythmical melody, but more of a cadence. It could be seen as a drum, because everything I'm doing is a little bit more rhythm or drum based. So pam 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 could also be a snare that will be playing on the drums like this. So I'm always trying to just keep it percussive because I'm making dance music. The whole reason I love playing with analog synths is because if I'm taking out the decay, it starts to become very percussive in itself. So, if it needs to be a little bit more melodic, I will open it up, which will work with the strings, of course. Watch the bass line. I think this is actually going to work. Excellent. Let's introduce another one into the band. So you can hear that it's very exciting to just look at different levels, look at different frequency ranges, and where you would in your computer maybe just pick a preset or pick another synthesizer. With this, you just pick the synthesizers that will actually live in a certain frequency range, and you just layer them on top of each other. And that's if you play it well and you know this is my kick drum. So this is the bottom end of my track. This is my foundation. This is my hi-hat. In between those two frequencies, you can actually just do a whole lot of stuff. And the fun part is you don't really need to over equalize or equalize it too much. If you're just trusting your ears and you're playing different pieces of music, you'll see that it will actually work out. So I hope you enjoyed all this information. Stay tuned for more. Don't hesitate to click subscribe. So whenever I drop a new video, you'll be the first to be updated about it, and you'll stay in the loop. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in another video.